Hi, and welcome to our poster on Lake Ontario high lake levels and whether or not precipitation increasing is affecting these high lake levels. So our hypothesis was an increase in average precipitation causes an increase in the water levels of Lake Ontario. So first we wanted to figure out what years were high lake levels and then what years we wanted to compare. So to determine the high lake levels, we found the four highest peaks using the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers data on lake levels, and we determined that the high lake levels were around 248 feet. These 4 years we found were 1952, 1973, 2017, and 2019. So we wanted to compare this to a normal lake level, which we would determine by where the lake was peaked at just about pre-flood stage. So right before it started to become a flood. And we determined this was around 245 feet. And we found 3 years that peaked around 245 feet. These years were 1981, 2001, and 2010. Next, we wanted to look at precipitation in the watershed of Lake Ontario and determine whether or not an increase of precipitation was causing these high lake levels. So to determine the watershed or the drainage basin, we found that by using the Canadian government's made watershed, and we wanted to collect data from about 11 cities within the watershed. On the US side, we determined we wanted to collect data from Watertown, Oswego, Syracuse, Ithaca, Rochester, and Buffalo. For the Canadian side, we decided to use Hamilton, Toronto, Oshawa, Belleville, and Kingston. Next, we then collected data from the National Climate Data Center's database, and we used the total monthly precipitations from the months of December, January, February, March, and these were the months prior to the peak of each year. And that's how we determined that we wanted to take a sample of these 4 months. And we found a significantly higher amount of precipitation for the high lake level years. We found that on average for the high lake level years, there was around a total of 246.49 inches of precipitation. For the normal lake level years average, we found about 232.24 inches of precipitation. We then calculated the average amount of precipitation per site that we found out of the 11 and how much rain would have been collected during these 4 months. And we found that in the high lake level years, there was an average of 18.69 inches per site. And in the normal lake level years, we found there was about 4.24 inches of rain per site. There's definitely a significantly higher amount of precipitation during the high lake level years than the low lake level years. But that does not necessarily mean that it was going to raise the lake to these higher limits. We then next found out how many gallons of water was going to be precipitated on average for the high and the normal lake level years. And we found that it takes about 128 billion, 900 million, and 600,000 gallons of water to raise the lake 1 inch. We then determined using the 18.69 inches per rainfall site, and their size of the drainage basin is about 24,000 square miles. So we then determined that with this amount of precipitation, there would have precipitated 8 trillion, 29 billion, 851,984,000 gallons of water during the high lake levels for the high lake levels years that was precipitated. We then calculated that this would raise the lake if all the water reached in the drainage basin reached the lake. It would raise the lake about 5.22 feet. We then calculated and found that during the normal lake level years, it precipitated 1,821,646,346,000 464,000 gallons. We then calculated that this would raise the lake about 1.19 feet. That is a significant difference, and it is very possible that the cause of these high lake levels is due to the extremely higher amount of precipitation and the amount of gallons that are going to be reaching the lake. Thank you for coming to our presentation. We hope you have a nice rest of your day.